Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. And today I'm going to be talking about an area I had no clue about, and that's known as the Western Sahara. Now, when you think about the Western Sahara, it almost seems like this is just a territory with the Sahara Desert in there, but this is actually a country which is administered from colonial times by Spain, Francisco Franco, and it was a very important place for the Axis and the Allied forces during the World War II, fighting against each other. So this is a very tiny country. I mean, the country is sparsely. The country has a high area in terms of territory, but it has very few people in the hundreds of thousands. Um, so let's see the economic and public health situation it's in Western Sahara. So these are some terrible refugee camps, Sahrawi refugee camp, which is administered by, like I said, Morocco, Mauritania, and other countries. So 173,600 Sahrawi refugees live in five camps in Tindouf, Algeria. The reason they live in Tindouf is because there is a border that Western Sahara and Tindouf share. So their entire subsistence is on humanitarian assistance, which is terrible. And these conditions have really taken a toll due to COVID-19, global fuel prices, global fuel and food prices, this water scarcity, since, as you know, this is a desert, flat desert, that's all that there is, and extreme weather, sandstorms, desert, and floods. Um, so this is the longest standing refugee crises in the world. Imagine this area for decades just be dependent on humanitarian aid, and that's taking place in the United States. Imagine that. I'm not saying that's what is happening, but anyway. So malnutrition and food insecurity. This is has a critical public health emergency. So, just to give you an overview, acute malnutrition among children rose from 7.6% to 10.7%. So that's 1 in 10. That's not a good sign. Stunting affects 28.8% of children, with newer UN data showing increases to 30.7% by 2025. So growth stunting is something that children don't get to grow, and that half or a third of the population of children are stunted. And then the global acute malnutrition reached 13.6% in 2025. So it's classified as a um, critical by WHO. A lot of people have anemia. Children under five, about half of children under five are anemic. And over half of women and children, women of reproductive age, are anemic. So that has dire consequences on individuals, children, and whatnot. So food insecurity is affecting 7% of the population. Moderate food insecurity, 57%, which is higher than, again, half. Maternal and child health is, as I went over, is really failing. For instance, all vaccines support cold chain management. So the midwives and community health workers play a significant role in the Sahrawi refugee camps. They play a central role in ameliorating maternal and child health. There's also one central hospital, and so that's overcrowded, overloaded. Five regional hospitals and 20 plus primary care centers. There's always um, there's always a shortage of electricity, surgical gloves, anti venom diagnostic equipment, broad spectrum antibiotics. Um, so there's infrastructural violence because physicians often improvise treatments due to infrastructural deprivation. Um, so, like using acacia resin for snake bites. Water, sanitation, environmental health. Again, half of the population relies on truck delivered water, and that really raises costs and public health quality concerns. Extreme desert heat, sometimes reaching 120, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Sandstorms worsen dehydration, respiratory illness, and environmental factors. Um, so there's two more things, or three more things that is important to keep in mind, is mental health and neurodevelopment. So, 2.2% of school-age children screened positive for neurodevelopmental or psychiatric development. Teachers lack training in developmental disabilities, and specialized physicians are scarce. These are only primary care physicians that are looking after, or community health workers that are looking after the population. From these malnutrition and from these problems, PTSD is very common, and trauma exposure remain major concerns due to prolonged displacement. Services are minimal. Children with disabilities receive inadequate care. Social determinants of health. Half of the students meet minimum learning competencies, and there's only 89 learning centers, and they're operating in camps. Education is community run but under resourced. Teacher training is limited. And finally, let's take a look, and these are all overlapping, a lot of these. Humanitarian funding. So UN agencies appealed for $104 million in 2025, but only got 36 million. Underfunding for and severely restricts food, water, health, and education services. And the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic administers camp health services. Infrastructure depends on dwindling humanitarian aid. So that's the tragic story of Western Sahara, and there's a lot of things that are missing to for sustain um, long-term sustenance of the population. Um, very low population, but due to them living in humanitarian camps, this is something that needs to be monitored, and humanitarian aid and donations need to be made in this country for the people to survive and not to have stunted growth and some of the other issues that I talked about. I'm going to show some pictures for now, and these pictures are of the people. This is the 30th Independence Day from Spain in the liberated territories. It's from 2005. And this is demonstration in Madrid for the independence of Western Sahara. So this is in Spain. Here's a post of Polisario Front and in southern Western Sahara. This was the Israeli-Morocco normalization agreement. The U.S. became the first state to recognize Moroccan sovereignty over Western Sahara. This is a lake, very few lakes, obviously, because, like I said, 120, 130 degrees Fahrenheit is common. This is the location of Western Sahara. And then Moroccan police checkpoint in the suburbs. Here's some of the territories. There's a Moroccan wall separating on top here. And then, so the wall kind of goes through here as well. Administrative boundaries, and then Moroccan held territory in the red, and then the green is the free zones. So the Polisario held territories. It's kind of like divided up here. Here's a Sangar fortification from the Western Sahara conflict. The fortification is built from rocks on top of a mesa overlapping Western Sahara. Um, so this was built by the Sahrawis in the 80s. Sahrawi human rights defender in Morocco and has been imprisoned. So here's the capital. Here's the maps. So this is the Western Sahara, and so there's conflict here as well. And then the Spanish barracks after the Moroccan airstrikes in 1991. So they still are kind of they're still fighting over this natural products and a pharmacy. So because of there being a scarcity of products and medicines, a lot of the natural remedies are still there. As you can see, this is a diabetes cure, which is not necessarily a cure, um, because this is rely on traditional healers. Satellite image, you can see Moroccan built several empty towns in Western Sahara, ready for refugees returning from Tindouf. Remember, I talked about Tindouf being on the kind of on the threshold of other countries in Western Sahara. Actually, Tindouf is in another country, not in Western Sahara. Sahrawi people riding camels. So nice. And then this is a museum of the Sahrawi People's Liberation Army. Outside, so this is a hospital emergency at a Sahrawi refugee camp. Two women outside, and um, that's where the Western Sahara is. That's the map of the Western Sahara, and again, this is Western Sahara, and so this is divided up into different areas. Territory inside Moroccan wall. So this is a mess here. There's a lot of different um, areas that Western Sahara is comprised of. All right, so as you can see, Mauritania is an actor as well in the country of Western Sahara. All right, so I've already been through all the pictures, went through the public health aspect of Western Sahara and the poverty, dire poverty. I hope this has made some sense. Thank you for listening.